Second stage is the growth stage. Here's where a lot of you are. That's when the structures, fire load, and oxygen are used to fuel a fire. That's the fire terminology for growth. Now, as far as a team goes, that's when growth and results start to actually happen. That's when the team members are getting to know each other. Some have been there for 15 years. Some are brand new. Maybe some people just got promoted to new levels and are learning how to function at that level, whatever it may be. But this is also where challenges can occur. Challenges like disagreement about the mission or the strategy or our vision. That's where strained relationships can also occur too. And that's where conflict can occur. Now, conflict's an interesting thing. I need to take a moment about this, to talk about it, because conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. Now, conflict could be the result of clashing personalities and belief systems. That's what we'll talk about in just the very next slide. But it may also be the handiwork of the dinosaur philosophy, which is change is not good. And when I talk about dinosaur philosophy, it has nothing to do with age. If it had anything to do with age, by the way, any of you that know how these two things relate to each other would be considered a dinosaur in today's day and age. But that's not the case. Dinosaur is more of a mentality. It's more of, this is the way we've always done it. I'm stuck doing it this way. I don't want to change. And any kind of change that's presented to them, they resist for one reason or another. That's the kind of person that I would refer to as a dinosaur. Back to conflict. Conflict is an interesting thing. Everyone on this call needs to know how to resolve it. People rarely post positive stories about the candidate that they're supporting. What they tend to do is post negative stories about the opposing candidate and tell everybody that's voting for that person that they're an idiot for doing so, as if they're going to insult them to the point where they say, you know what, you're right, I'm an idiot, show me a better way. And that obviously doesn't work. There's three ways people typically deal with conflict. One is they ignore it. And if you ignore the sign and you're heading for trouble, chances are you're going to have trouble when you should have just dealt with it. What's another way people typically deal with conflict? Well, they fight it out. That's not the best way, because when you fight it out, there's a clear winner and a clear loser. The third way people typically deal with conflict, which is the way I would suggest, is through compromise. And compromise is ultimately saying, is there a way we could both feel good about the outcome? And if there is, well, then that's the right path to take. That's why we have negotiations. That's why people on opposite sides of a fence or a belief system will sit down and meet and hopefully have a civil conversation and try to figure out a better way to do things. That's the key. And that's the key word, respect. See, here's the thing. If you and I disagree with each other because of our belief systems, I can promise you, I'll still respect you and I'll still respect where you're coming from. And if you could show me respect in return, well, then we're not going to have any problem at all. Compared to what some people do today is they try to handle things through trying to slander or try to discredit the opposing point of view. That's not how you do it. How do you solve real problems? Dialogue, discussion, and debate. Well, that's a start. That's the mindset. So we have this saying that is, never walk past kinks. I want you to follow me on this if you're not a firefighter. We need water to put out fire. Kinks and hose lines restrict water flow. Restricted water flow makes our job very difficult. So if you were the pump operator right now responsible for this, you would clear that kink out. However, what if you're not the pump operator and you're somebody else on a whole different company that's working on that scene and you happen to walk past that? Now are you responsible to solve that problem? Yes, because you found the problem. So you're responsible to solve that problem. So never walk past kinks is a saying we use in the fire service that the adapted saying for all of us on this call is never walk past a problem you can solve. If you find a problem, solve the problem. Now, if you can't solve the problem, you don't have the means or the resources to do so, bring it to the attention of somebody who does. You're a team, and that's part of teamwork. I'm going to read something else for you. This was pretty interesting too. I just came across this, and we talked about a moment ago, Michael Jordan and The Last Dance in that documentary. This is something he said on the documentary. Winning has a price. Leadership has a price. I pushed people when they didn't want to be pushed. I challenged people when they didn't want to be challenged. but I never asked them to do something I wasn't willing to do myself. What is Michael Jordan referring to? He was referring to their practices. He would get in their head during practice and make them perform under pressure at practice. And what he was saying on this documentary is, I knew the other team was going to do this. So I wanted to prepare them for battle long before battle, because teams often win or lose long before their games begin. Number 3, take action. I got to tell you something funny. So I'm writing this book, Flashpoint, and I got to chapter 3, and I was about 19 pages into this chapter when I sat here and I kept shaking my head saying, it's not right, it's not right, it's not right. 19 pages in, and I realized, because I've already have been continuously saying the things I've been saying in the first 2 chapters, when it comes to setting expectations and preparing for victory. I'm repeating myself. And so I actually changed it, and chapter 3 has one word: go. You've already done the work. But now it's time to take action, because too many people, and this is a big reason why people in leadership positions fail, too many people think without ever doing. A second reason is they do without ever thinking, by the way. They pay our salary, just like somebody's paying the salary of everybody that's on this call right now. People pay businesses for something, right? They're going to pay you for something. So the question is, what are you giving them in return? And the answer is value. And what level of value are you giving them? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. I know that when I spoke to some of the firefighters I worked with, we would say, look, we want to provide the best service possible. So let's take the steps we need to take to make sure that when we arrive on scene, when somebody's having a tragedy, they're getting the best us that they can get. I want you to have the same mentality. And will you encounter difficult people, meaning people that are unhappy customers? Absolutely. It happens all the time in life. Some people's job is just to be unhappy. That's what they want to do. Remember this. Your goal is to create a relationship, and it's all about relationships. It's about to create a relationship that lasts. L-A-S-T. And what that stands for, when somebody has a problem, listen to their problem, apologize, solve the problem, and then thank them for bringing it to you. So listen, apologize, solve, and thank.